What's up guys, Houndish here, and today the liveliness in Destiny 2 continues, and we're back with more news roundups and content stuff to talk about for Season 11 and 12. So initially, we'll touch on a few additional details about Beyond Light, the return of the Stranger, and the Stranger's Rifle. We are going to be getting an exotic version of that weapon. Plus we get extra insights into the Destiny content vault, and some of the stuff that we're going to be getting in September, the Reprise Cosmodrome, raids and more, but also we now have the roadmap for Season of Arrivals, so we'll touch on that, but also a hidden chest that you can find in the new dungeon, as well as new exotic quests, the hunt for the ruinous effigy trace rifle, mysterious eyes hidden on various locations. But we're going to touch on how we're going to be evacuating different destinations over the course of this season, Solstice of Heroes items, and a bunch of other stuff. So should be a pretty info-packed video, guys, and if you do enjoy it, a rating below really helps me out. But now, let's get into it. And so we're starting to get our heads around the content that we're getting at the moment and the stuff we're going to see in September. We do know that the Stranger is returning in Beyond Light in September. And looking at Beyond Light Digital Deluxe Edition, we can see on the website that you'll get the Stranger's Weapon Pack, and that includes the No Time to Explain Exotic Pulse Rifle and the No Time to Explain Catalyst. But there will also be an ornament for the weapon and an exotic sparrow called Any Other Sky, which presumably is the exotic sparrow the Stranger is actually driving. So that's going to be pretty cool. And it makes sense that we now saw an updated render of No Time to Explain from one of the Bungie artists a couple of months back. And Luke Smith in a Q&A yesterday said that the curious object floating around the Stranger, what we originally thought was going to be a ghost, actually isn't a ghost because the Stranger isn't a light bearer. And he went on to say that we won't be obtaining one this year. In the future, it's an idea they are deeply considering. So I wouldn't necessarily imagine it would be a replacement for ghosts, but maybe an additional slot with a little kind of fish buddy thing, whatever it's called. But here we get more insights into the content that we'll actually see in September, and that includes Reprise content from Destiny 1. So Cosmodrome is going to return on the 22nd of September as an explorable destination, but they say it won't be at full Destiny 1 parity immediately. They're looking to leverage Cosmodrome's initial return to expand the new Guardian origin story to the world of Destiny, and veteran players will be able to experience that as well. And then Cosmodrome's Will of Crota Strike will also be added to the playlist for all players. So that's going to be pretty awesome. However, it continues because in Season 13, Cosmodrome will be fleshed out to roughly the same level as in Destiny 1, and then the Devil's Lair and Fallen Saber Strikes will return, followed by the Vault of Glass, D1's first raid, at some point during Year 4, so probably not in Season 13, more likely in Season 14 or after that. In terms of other key Year 4 details, they've said that there will be 3 raids playable this fall, including a new one set in the Deep Stone Crypt on Europa, so that'll be the Beyond Light raid. And there are going to be new ways to earn exotics originally tied to destinations and activity content that have entered the content vault, so those are some locations going away which we'll touch on in a moment. That strikes will be based on a pool of possible strikes from active destinations, and so all of the strikes for Mercury, Mars, Titan, and Io will actually be going away, and then Gambit and Gambit Prime will be merged into a single mode. And so it's worth pointing that out because it gives us extra context as to how content vaulting really is going to work, and let us know what you think about that. But now let's get on to content for this season. So I should say initially that I do already have a guide on the loot table and systems around the Umbral Engrams, so if you guys want to check that out, it's linked below. However, Bungie have now given us the roadmap for Season of Arrivals, so it's pretty bare bones right here. They're not giving a lot away. Of course, this week we got the Contact event on Io, as well as the Prophecy Dungeon, and then of course we're going to have the Interference mission and a weekly quest. Those will drop Pinnacle gear, but in terms of when we get new content for Season 11 itself, the only other things they refer to are Moments of Triumph, starting on July 7th, running up to the 22nd of September, and then Solstice of Heroes between August 11th and September 8th. And Solstice is going to get new glowing legendary armor. But otherwise, once again, in terms of when we get a new Contact event on Titan, when the quests drop and all of that kind of stuff, Bungie are definitely leaving us in the dark. With the launch of the new dungeon, Prophecy, that kicked off on day 1 of the season. Quick shout right here, I haven't actually had the chance to run it, but after the first kind of main encounter in the dungeon, there's an area called Wasteland, and Nav posted a video right here, so full credit to them for this. But behind the rock structure on the back side of the area, you can head down into the little gap right here and open a hidden chest, and this one can drop some of the Trials armor that's been reprised. But also Bungie have reprised some Ikelos weapons with random rolls, and a few other things, so if you are running through the dungeon, definitely bear this one in mind in the Wasteland encounter, and I'll keep you posted if any more are found. But one of the exotic quests we can expect to see this season will be called Missive, so as far as we know, this is likely to be for the ruinous effigy trace rifle. And it simply starts out with a step that requires us to visit the prismatic recaster in the annex of the tower near the Drifter. That'll send us off to complete the interference mission on Io, but then step 3 lists that we need to collect calcified light fragments on Io, Titan, Mars, and Mercury using Ghost's nav mode. It'll also require us to defeat Savathun's marionettes on Io and Titan, and then defeat targets with void damage, chain precision multi-kills, and complete Gambit or Reckoning. And once we've done that, it'll give us a gift called Shape, which is basically an exotic engram. And at that point we can open it up and get the reward. So the obvious links to the trace rifle are the void kills required, but also the collection of those calcified fragments. Because from the trailer, the base model for the weapon does have that calcified effect, and the quest refers to Touch of Malice being a blueprint for the weapon. So while we can't see the exotic perk precisely just yet, perhaps it'll let us fire continuously or increase damage at the cost of health or something like that. Of course, with the roadmap not giving too much away though, it isn't clear when this will happen. But separately, in and around various locations in the game, players have started to notice mysterious, almost kind of eyeball-looking things. And if you shoot them, they're immune. But presumably what they represent is the darkness on each of the locations which are going to be destroyed or vaulted somehow by September. And Real Coolio on Reddit has started to collect locations and map these things out. There are a bunch of them, but they're present on Titan, Mercury, Io, and Mars, which once again are those locations that the game refers to the darkness being present at, and we know those are going to go away in September. We don't know of a specific quest in which these eyeball things will feature into, but there does appear to be an objective to actually destroy them, and so maybe we'll be able to kill them in a particular way, perhaps with a specific weapon. Could be something like the trace rifle we just spoke about. And so give us any thoughts that you guys have about them, but I'll be sure to keep you posted as we get any further details. It would also appear that we're going to have a pretty massive quest to evacuate the 4 locations being removed this fall, and the quest comes from Zavala initially, but has us visit Io, Titan, Mercury, and then Mars, with a whole bunch of steps for each location, completing strikes, collecting items, heroic adventures, and more. And this is part of actually evacuating those locations, but the reward would appear to quite possibly be the Traveler's Chosen exotic sidearm. And of course, this is the exotic version of the original D2 sidearm, which would kind of make sense as we close out and actually evacuate those certain locations. And the process of evaluating the locations is going to be a significant one as well, because there's even another quest to actually prepare the locations by completing new rare weekly bounties on each of them. So we can see Preparation Titan, but there are steps for each of the 4 locations that'll require the completion of rare bounties, so at some point these will become available on the destination vendors, and when you complete them, they'll drop a new Exodus-focused Umbral engram, and this can drop weapons from destinations with a heavy darkness presence, so there is going to be a way to farm out weapons linked to the locations before they go away. But the bounties will be pretty useful because they also drop 200 Altered Element, and that's the stuff that we can spend to focus engrams at the recaster in the tower. So that's a bit of an insight as to how some of the seasonal content will evolve. And once again, if you need any kind of information about the recaster, the loot tables, and precisely how it works, I'll link my dedicated video for that down below. But moving away from some quest things for a moment, be sure to visit Raoul in the tower, as he does have an exclusive ghost shell for folks who played Season of the Worthy. So if you purchase that season, you can grab this ghost shell for free from Raoul, but also, he now has various Season Pass exotics from this year. So he's got X-Quest exotics like Leviathan's Breath, and to pick them up, you do need an exotic cipher, and we don't know exactly where they can drop randomly, aside from at rank 55 of the Season Pass, but this is an item that can either be traded with a Cryptarch or Xur, and so Xur is going to have some additional drops available for the item as well. We should also mention that if you go ahead and pre-order Beyond Light, any pre-order bonuses and things like that for the order will also be available at Master Raoul. Some final things to touch on right here would be some Solstice of Heroes items for the year. So we've got the Awakened shell. This is a kind of mini Traveler shell right here, which is pretty cool. Looking like all of these items will be linked to Eververse, but we've also got the Catching Rays emote, as well as the Power Rising emote. And so that's just a brief preview of a couple of cosmetic items at least, but we'll also be getting the new armor sets, glows, and everything like that via gameplay, so that's going to be pretty cool. And otherwise, for now guys, that is what we have to speak about in the video, so I wanted to clarify a few important things about Year 4, but also round up some of the additional juicy details about content that we'll get this season. And so, I'd be curious to get any initial thoughts for Season 11 from you guys down below, or of course any thoughts about the content Bungie have revealed for September. But if you have enjoyed this video guys, a rating really helps me out, but also feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so I can keep you posted. We'll have more guide content, news, and everything like that throughout the course of the week, so keep it locked and loaded right here. But otherwise, enjoy the new content in the game guys, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.